Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to do something different from my regular grow series. I'm going to be taking down my old 4x4, taking everything out of it, and I'll be setting up a new 5x5 grow tent. It is the same style of grow tent, but it is 1 foot bigger on both sides. I've only taken down and put up, I don't know how many grow tents, but enough to know that it can be a pain in the butt unless you have a couple tips and tricks and an understanding to it. I was actually searching for some videos and couldn't find anything that really gave you a how-to on an easy way to assemble a grow tent, so I figured I would fill that void and fix that problem. Basically what I'm doing right now is I'm going through my grow space and I'm emptying out everything in it because I can't take the tent down if there's anything inside of it. I can, but I don't, it's not really a good idea. So the first thing that I do is I go and disconnect all the power to everything and remove all the power bars and the zip ties and the cords holding all of that stuff in. And then I start to remove anything that is hard mounted, like that piece of wood that I just took out, any loose fans sitting on the floors. I disconnect everything up top that doesn't need to be there and begin removing my lights. I find that I like to get those out of there as soon as possible because they're just in my way as I do the work in the grow tent. I don't know if you've ever smashed your head on your grow light, but they're not very heavy, but they hurt. And we don't want to damage them as much as we don't want to damage ourselves, or maybe a little less. Maybe we don't want to hurt ourselves more than we don't want to hurt our grow lights. But anyways, what I'm doing is I'm just going through and pulling out all the cords and cables and disconnecting everything from the inside and the outside, and then removing all of that stuff from the grow tent. I was going to clean out the tent, but I decided not to. I'm either going to give this away as a gift or just leave it until I decide to do something else with it, which I really don't want to, so hopefully end up giving it away and helping somebody get into their grow adventures. That's what would make me happy. Now I'm going through and I'm disconnecting the ducting for the inline vent. It's got a Phillips screw on it that has to be unscrewed and disconnected from the vent itself, along with all the wiring and everything else. There's a lot of times where you're just kind of tracking a wire and finding where it goes from point A to point B, so you're making sure that you're disconnecting the right thing, so when you go back to pull it, the right thing comes out. That's taking out my second light. That's a 240 light from China. That was one of my first indoor LED lights that I grew with. I really like it. It's not the best light in the world, but it makes me happy, and it was a good price. That's the AC Infinity Cloudline T6, I believe, inline fan. Phenomenal piece of equipment. It's worked a very long time, like it was brand new. I intend on getting another one if I ever need to get another one. At this point, I've pretty well got most of the stuff out of the grow tent. It's just the odds and ends, like little zip ties that are clipped onto things, and these are like a spreader bar that I'm taking out right now. It helps prevent the tent from collapsing in on itself, like the negative pressure when I close up the doors and have the fan on. It doesn't suck in as much when you have like a brace along the sides. So that's what I was doing. Right now I'm removing some tape that was on the back wall, preventing damage on the wall rubbing against the fan. It's amazing how light they are when there's nothing inside of them. It's pretty quick and easy. Now I'm getting to the back corner. I'm starting to get to the point where I'm able to disconnect the tent itself, but I keep finding zip ties. Now we're taking out the floor, folding it up to make sure I don't dump anything that's on it anywhere, because again, I didn't clean it out. And my power went out there. Right here, we're getting into the back corner. I put my foot down on the frame and lift up while pushing the pin in to take out the side post. Takes a little bit of muscle, but it's doable and it doesn't rip the tent. And you go around and you do that to all 4 corners. And what that'll do is it'll disconnect the top and sides from the bottom. Again, use your foot to keep the floor pushed down of the tent and lift up with your arms. This is an awkward spot because it's just myself, so I have to push up on the tent roof to hold it elevated while I have to pull out the side posts. Once I get the side posts out, I get those out of the room. Again, I'm working in a pretty small room, so space is a big deal. I need to get everything out of there as soon as possible, and I'm just putting it out into another area where I'll go and disassemble it and label all the posts and connection joints, so whether it's myself or somebody else that puts it together in the future, it goes together a lot easier. I will also have a video up after this one about how to set up your grow tent with basically what goes into it and how I do mine. So if you're curious about that, check that out as well. Now I'm folding up the grow tent itself and I'm trying to get it out. I'm bringing in the new one, basically out with the old and in with the new. I highly recommend to clean out the space if you're swapping them or if you're putting it in for the first time. Either way, clean that grow space out, get the dust, get the bugs, get everything out of there. I come through with a broom and just sweep it up and then dust the wall to get all the cobwebs that were behind my tent. It's been there for a few years now. And sweep that all into a pile and go get the little dust buster and suck it all up. I like to lay a couple things down underneath of my tent for two reasons. One, it protects the floor, and two, I find if I do need to slide my grow tent, it helps protect the tent, and it helps me be able to slide it a little bit, even with plants in it. Just a preference thing. I'm a very particular individual, but it's usually necessity driven. So here's where it gets a little fun. Now, I've pulled the tent skin out. That's the black frame, or black part that covers the frame of the tent. Put that behind me, and I'm going through and I'm trying to identify the poles. And sorry about the camera, I thought I had it a little bit lower down. I look through the manual and I'm trying to find roughly what poles are going to be going in what location, and you want to basically plan your layout. You want to understand where the poles are going before you start putting it together. These are the different types of connections that they send with you, so understanding what poles go to what connections and where those pieces go helps you put your tent together with ease and not have to put it together and take it apart and put it together and take it apart, which can be a giant headache, especially if you get that skin on the outside and then realize. So what I basically do is go through and I lay everything out and I get everything kind of roughed in. But then I also notice eventually, I think I might have cut it out, I noticed partway through that this tent had 2 less poles than my previous one, and it kind of confused me right here. I'm like looking for the other poles and I'm like, what the heck is going on? But I ended up figuring it out and realizing that it's just a bit of a different design and everything works out perfectly good. There's the big old head scratch wondering, hey, what the heck? And then you bust out the manual for a little bit of guidance and assistance. And we're right back into it and figuring it out. So there will be a little bit of trial and error and figuring it out. It doesn't matter how many times you've put together a tent, not all tents are the exact same. Especially the ones that I'm using have that like A-frame roof, so the angles and the different size pieces gets a little bit confusing. But once you get your rough layout out on the base, you're going to clip all that together. Read the manual 700 more times just to make sure that you're doing it right, and get visits from the Josie. That's our Manx cat, Josie. She has to be in everything that I'm doing. Usually I give her lots of attention, but I was so in the zone right here I don't even think I noticed her. Now what I'm doing is identifying the tent side poles, the ones that are going to go up and down the sides. I always think that they come in 2 pieces and that I have to connect them, but then I always remember that they don't. They come in one big long piece. I'm also working on the roof frame. It's going to be like an A-frame. The way that I'm putting this tent together is different, I think, than most people do theirs. I don't really know how other people do theirs because I couldn't find many videos about it. That's why I decided to do one. But usually I would build my frame completely and slide the skin over it, and I find that to be a complete nightmare to the point where like I dread building grow tents. But this way I almost find it easy to do, which again you'll see as we get toward the end of the video. But I'm going to build the lower portion of the frame and the upper portion. I'm not going to connect them, and then I'll drape the skin over, and then I'll lift the top up into the top of the frame up into the top of the skin, and just kind of pull up on the side posts like I did to disassemble, to reassemble it again. So because I'm doing this on my own, my partner did offer to help, but I didn't want to wait, so I just did it myself. I'm an eager person, lots of energy. So again, because I'm doing this on my own, I had to put in the clips first, and then you just kind of, it's a little tedious, it's a little fun, it's a little challenge, and it's a little affirming to complete it and know that you can do these types of things on your own. And yeah, so I just put those little side clips up so I can clip the roof into the top of it without it falling everywhere. And now essentially I have two main pieces. I have my roof and side posts and my floor, the base. Now what I'm going to do is probably my least favorite part, and that's going to be bring in the skin and try to orientate it so the door is in the correct spot that I want it to be, basically right where the camera is facing, that side of the grow tent. And I need to make sure that it's also orientated the right way to the tent, because the tent has two sides and a front and a back that are not the same. So basically I have to find the bottom of the tent skin, make sure that that is the bottom, and then from there I have to navigate and find the either front door opening or the back door wall. By knowing those two reference points, I can begin to unfold the tent, and that will help me know where the base is so I can slip in my pre-built frame into the base. Once that happens, which in my opinion is probably the hardest part, once that part happens, it's all easy after that. You essentially just start have to clipping things in. But it's not a lot of space for a giant skin. It can get a little frustrating. If you need to, go smoke one, clear your head, calm down, don't get frustrated. If you're getting frustrated, walk away before you get to that point. It can get annoying. But what I'm doing here is I'm using my arms to lift up the walls of the tent. I'm using my feet to kind of wedge the frame into the tent. And it's a lot of like walking back and forth and moving one spot and adjusting another spot to go back and move that original spot again. But now I'm getting the side posts into the tent itself within the frame, and that will allow me to be able to lift up the skin and drape it over the outside without having anything getting caught, without bending anything, and without having to force the tent frame into the skin afterward, which is why I'm doing it this way. I'd rather have to lift up the frame inside of the skin than drape or wedge the skin over the frame. So what I'm doing now is pulling the skin over the frame, and I don't have the base of the frame connected to the side walls, and that's why this is going so easily. It's not super tight. I mean, I don't know if it looks like it's going easily, but watching it back, it feels like it's going pretty easily. Again, you use your foot to hold down on the base, use your arms to pull up on the sides, connect them, and put them in. That's it. Thanks for watching the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and join us in the Facebook group, the Friendly Growers Club. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.